This course is electronic devices and circuits. The name is circuits. Will not be dealing with circuits a lot. The name is a little bit confusing because it is named after a textbook, Electronic Devices and Circuits by Millman-Hakias, where most of the device physics is dealt. That is a classic textbook. But generally the questions in the subjects are not are related to the device itself rather than the circuit. It's like see, in a circuit you just want the IV characteristics, current and voltage characteristics, and you will use it to design an amplifier or whatever circuit you want. But here you really want to understand what is making the device to get those IV characteristics. You will be going deep into the semiconductor physics, and some of you who are really interested in this field, who are interested in doing MTech in electronics, VLSI, this is one of the subjects that you have to concentrate on, because this is going to be the future. This is what drives the market actually. Any development that you see here, new jobs getting created, technological revolutions in communications, everything is possible because of the efficiency of individual transistors. It boils down to this. So understanding those transistors is it's going to be the foundation of of all other developments, like your MTech courses or anything will depend on how well you understand each device individually. So it's very important for you to concentrate on this. Generally marks are like 8 to 12 marks. 8 to 12 marks in GATE. But more than that, I want you to learn this subject in terms of the foundation it gives you, and this is very important subject for analog circuits as well. You will appreciate analog circuits if you understand this very well. Okay, so preferred books. Generally, I refer to a couple of books, and I will name the first one is Electronic Devices and Circuits. I am writing some shortcuts by Millman-Hakias. Millman and Hakias. This is also called Blackpad. When I used to read, I don't know if they have given a new name to it, but this is one of the classic textbooks. But this doesn't completely deal, because this is written for both devices and circuits, so it doesn't do justice to either of the things, but it in a classic way it covers both very well actually. So this is going to be the basic textbook. Then the textbook that I recommend most for this subject is Fundamentals of Semiconductor Devices, Achyutan and Bhatt. So this is the textbook that I recommend most, and if you are planning to do your MTech in VLSI, if you are really interested in this, I would recommend you to buy this textbook if you are an EC student. Obviously everyone in this course is going to be an EC student, so I would recommend you to buy this textbook. This is a very good textbook. So Achyutan is a professor now in IISc. He is the person actually who taught me this subject. So actually I really, not because of that, but this is a really very good textbook. Okay. Then third one is Solid State Devices by Ben Streetman. So this is a very high level textbook. So this can be as a reference. Again, if you are really planning to do your MTech in VLSI, I would recommend to buy these two. This is more. This has a lot of abstract points. Sometimes you will have to refer to IEEE papers and all. So this is a nice textbook though, very advanced level. This is the book that I would recommend for you. This is a classic textbook. There are some questions from this textbook, so that's why. So this is the general order, but the second one is what I prefer most. Okay. So that is regarding this, and so what are we? Okay, I'll erase this. So what are we going to actually learn in this subject? What are we going to learn in this subject? So here we are going to relate IV characteristics with device parameters. Device parameters. What are device parameters? Like shape, material, mobility, lifetime, or even temperature and illumination, light. What you are going to do in the subject is you are going to relate the IV characteristics of all the devices. You know already that devices exist, right? Transistor, diodes, and all. How they depend on the device parameters. Till now, you never see. You might have used transistor, but you never question what the transistor material is, or what is the size of the transistor. How does it affect if you change the width, the length of that, and how does it depend on the temperature? How does it depend on the material? Is it silicon, germanium, gallium arsenide, something like that? Or there are also other device properties like mobility, lifetime. So what we are going to do in this subject, I'm trying to give the overall picture. What you're going to learn here is IV characteristics and its dependence on all these things. Okay, and also IV characteristics, and there are also transient characteristics. What are transient characteristics? So if I of t and V of t are a function of time, it's like switching characteristics, transient characteristics or switching characteristics. We'll also see how these depend on these parameters, right? So you might know that I don't know whether you have seen, but making these devices, right? Making these electronic devices is very complex, and you will see that these are very small. These are very, very small. That is the reason why we will be dealing with atoms, electrons, holes, and why we will be talking about the atomic level is the devices that are manufactured are very, very small. You have to understand that. How small they are? It's like the latest one is 22 nanometer. As I said, the smallest transistor that is made, which is in the market now, if you go buy an Intel processor now, the transistors in that chip are made of width and sizes of 22 nanometer. Those are really, really small. So 22 nanometer is like you have to cut your hair 1,000 times. Cut your hair 1,000 times vertically, and that is the thickness of one device. So such small devices we are making now. So you have to understand how those are made. That is one part of this, how those are made. And when you're dealing with such small things, you're almost dealing with the atoms, individual atoms. So even one atom this side and that side, one atom arbitration can change the characteristics, IV characteristics. So you are really interested in the device properties to the IV characteristics, because you want these characteristics to build circuits and all. So that's the whole objective of this course. In a way, you are trying to understand the psychology of the device, how the device behaves in various situations. Okay, psychology of the device is what you are trying to understand. So all these devices are made of semiconductors. All these devices are made of semiconductors. So first thing we have to do is, what are the properties of semiconductors? There are some classic IES questions regarding if you go to interviews or so. What is the properties of semiconductors? We'll list them out and try to find out. Properties of semiconductors. So I write semiconductors as SC. You have to understand that because writing it every time is waste of time, right? So SC is nothing but semiconductors. Okay. Properties of semiconductor. There are few properties of if a material has to be called as a semiconductor, it has to obey some specific properties. Just like a metal, right? A metal has to have some specific properties. What are those? A metal generally has to be it has to be conductive. It has to conduct electricity very easily. The resistance has to be less, and it should also have some properties like ductility. You should be able to make it into shapes. You should be able to make threads. Ductility and malleability are some other properties of metal. Just like that, there are some properties of semiconductors. First thing is polarity of charge carriers. So, in all materials, electrons conduct electricity, but in semiconductors there are two types. One, electrons and holes. These are positive and negative. So we'll see what these are actually. We'll see what these are, but they have to have two type of polarity of charge carriers. For one of the properties of semiconductors is it has two types of charge carriers for conduction of electricity. 2. Concentration of charge carriers. Another property is, so each material has concentration of charge. What do I mean by concentration of charge carriers? Let us say you take a piece of semiconductor. Let us say it is a size 1 centimeter cube. If this is 1 centimeter, this is 1 centimeter cube. All the dimensions are 1 centimeter. Now, if you take a semiconductor of this, any semiconductor, so there will be some free electrons in this. There will be some electrons in this. There will be some holes. As we have seen that semiconductor will have both electrons and holes. Okay. So the number of carriers in 1 centimeter cube is the concentration of charge carriers. So how much will it be? So I will just write one concentration line here. This is 10 power 21. This is 10 power 6. So this is nothing but concentration of charge carriers. Concentration of charge carriers. This is nothing but N per centimeter cube. So what I am writing here, the number of charge carriers in 1 centimeter cube of that material. So this is the concentration. It starts with 0, and this is 10 power 6. This is 10 power 21. So if the concentration of charge carriers in a material is more than 10 power 21, if it is more than 21, it is metal. Okay, if the concentration of charge carriers is less than 10 power 6, it is insulator. Anything in between is semiconductor. Anything in between is semiconductor. Now if you see here, the concentration of charge carriers in semiconductor is varying by several orders of magnitude. See, 10 power 6 into 10 will give you 10 power 7. That means if you increase the concentration of this 10 power 6 by 10 times, it is 10 power 7. If you increase that by 10 times, it is 10 power 8. So every number increase here is actually 10x, right? So from 10 power 6 to 10 power 21 is a huge variation. It's a several orders of magnitude variation. So semiconductors offers huge variation in the concentration of charge carriers. So that is one of the reasons why you can operate it almost as a metal. If the concentration is high, you can operate it as a metal. If the concentration is low, you can operate it as an insulator. So this property of semiconductors, by which you can vary the concentration across several orders, is what makes it very suitable for making circuits, basically for making a switch. A switch has to be on and a switch has to be off. When the concentration is very high, obviously it is kind of a short circuit, it is behaving like a metal. When it is off, concentration of charge carriers in that material is very low. So that is what we do actually. So we will change the concentration of charge carriers and we will use it in various circuits. So insulators, the variation is very less. It's by order of 10 power 6. From 0 to, it is changing by an order of 6 orders. Here the variation is 21 to 6. How many? Almost by 15 orders of magnitude the concentration is changing. Then you can say metals can go from 21 to infinity. Actually metal concentration is changing by higher orders. But generally if you see, the concentration of charge carriers will be limited to 10 power 22. You will see why. So generally the limit is 10 power 22, at max 10 power 23. I will not write that, but generally the concentration of carriers in any material is limited to the order of 10 power 22. When I say by the order of 10 power 22, it could be some 9 into 10 power 22, like 8 into 10 power 22, something like that, okay? So metal concentration is actually varying by least orders, insulators by 6 orders, semiconductors by 15 orders of magnitude. Okay. Now, how can we achieve this kind of change in concentrations? This is what really interests. This is what makes semiconductors very interesting. Okay.